let's see if we can get this focused in here. For a beanie, you want it to be approximately 11 inches tall, plus whatever size your pom-pom is, maybe 3 inches. And the width will be the size of your melon. Mine is approximately 22 inches, so I'm going to be cutting 11 inches plus the pom-pom, which is 3, so about 14 inches by 22 inches. Now I'm just going to mark it right on the fabric with a pencil. There's 12 inches. And we'll add 4. Did I say 4? Oh, whatever. Not 16 inches. That's a bit more. Whatever. I'm going to put a cuff on it anyways. So there's my length. And we'll just sort of rough it up because it's not really drawing on here very well. But I will follow the roughed up line. And we'll go 22 inches this way. So we're just going to cut across here. There we go. All right, so that's definitely my outside. And we're going to sew. Look how imperfect that is. You catch that? We're going to fix that by doing, you know what? We're not even going to fix it. That's the top designated now. Because the pom-pom kind of looks cool if the stuff is different, if the little tassels are different sizes. You weren't getting it. This is now my 22 inches, and that is my 15. So I'm going to stitch along this long side here. Okay, so we're going to tuck our threads behind, and we're just going to do I'm gonna do something I didn't do with Shannon's, and that is going to be a little reverse seam on the cuff. So I'm going to start in the middle here. I'm going to start a few inches up here. Let's see if this works. It's all an experiment, folks. You should feel free to experiment. All right, I'm going to make it a little bit zigzag. So this is what happened. This is what I come up with when I just turn the machine on, and you have the same machine. So I know that's true for you too. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes it only 1 wide and 2.5 long. You know, that'll be okay for us. We're going to stick with that one. So put it on a number 4 for your stretchy stitch. All right, and then I'm going to try and keep the fabric right at the edge of the foot. You see that there? And I'm going to try and stitch, keeping the fabric running right along that edge. I wish that I could hold the camera and show you what I'm seeing, but it's not my skill set, sorry. Okay, make sure your foot is down. That's the little lever right here. Hold the threads and get started. It's going to kind of go forward and back. It takes a little longer to do this stitch. Alright, I'm going to back stitch somewhere around here. A little button right here, back stitch. And you do that at the beginning and end of your seam so they don't fall apart. Now, I'm going to lift the lever right here, lifting the foot up. And I already pressed the button without telling you. I'll lift the needle, so that's out now. And I'm going to pull my fabric out. Ugh, sorry, this is horrible. Okay, I'm going to see if I can show you this. So, here's my seam. Which is hard to see in this light. There it is. Terrible lighting. We'll switch. Beautiful water bottle shot. Okay. There. Now you can see the seam. So here's the top. Uneven. That's fine. Here's the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this to the outside. Okay, get that back in focus here. So here's my seam. This is the outside of the hat. I'm going to stitch from here to there on the cuff. Okay, so from the end of where I had my seam to the edge here. Okay, this will show you that even if you know what you're doing, you may miss. So just to show again, this is the hat inside out. Here's my seam. This is the hat right side out, and this is my cuff, which I'm going to sew again because I missed part of it. All right, so fold it in half so the seam is like this, and then stitch along there, not like I did, and make yourself a nice small seam. Okay, so you come over here to the sewing machine, needles up. Just look at my threads. You make that mistake. Pull your threads back out. What you don't want is the threads making a little nest down here. You'll end up calling me, and I can't come in right now because of COVID, so don't do that. Make sure your threads are out. Okay, so we're going to stick the fabric under here, put the lever down. I'm going to make sure that this is unfolded or not bunched up under here. Okay, ready, steady, go. All right, now it's over. I am going to, let's see, back up here, push the needle up. There we go. Lift the lever and pull the fabric out far enough so that I have a tail, so that when I start the machine next, the threads won't jump into the machine and make a mess. I'm a terrible photographer. Weirdly, this hat is almost done. So let's turn the hat right side out. Okay, pretty clear, right? Okay, now this is what our seam looks like. Right side out, up, inside out, and when we flip the cuff up, boom, look at that. Oops, you can't look at that because I'm a terrible photographer. When I flip it up, look, no outside seam. Brilliant. Okay, now you're going to find about where you want to tie this off. Okay, pop it up. Okay, we did this before, Shannon. You're going to take a needle and thread. You're going to stitch through here. You're going to wrap it around. You're going to find some really strong thread. Wrap it around, over and over again. Stitch it through, back and forth until it's very nice and tight. It makes you that little bundle. I am going to be using some hand quilting thread. It's a little bit thicker, stronger thread because quilters pull their thread through fabric and batting and all that good garbage. Okay, so once you've wrestled the thread onto the needle and tied a knot, focus in there, boy. There you go. Ta-da! Gorgeous. All right, now for me, see how I kind of wrinkle it all together? I'm going to take a little piece of each loop. Now I've got a giant needle, which means it's going to be a little bit harder to get through each loop. Trying not to stab myself. This is called gathering. Look at that. Just take a little hunk. If it becomes uneven, pull on each thread individually until they're even again. You could just go every inch or so. Just take a stitch. Are we focused in on my hands? I'm in the bad light again, aren't I? Somehow I wrap the needle around the tripod. I am a genius. All right, so I'm just going to grab some, taking giant stitches that would normally not be okay. Not for sewing, but for gathering. Look at that. Okay. So, trying to kind of maintain that same line. You don't want your hat to get smaller. You've already sized it. Just going to take some big lumps like that. Woohoo, look at that beauty. There we go. Trying to just gather the one side right now. You don't want to get both. You could stick your hand inside. Of course, that means you'll stab yourself. But, you know, dues must be paid. No, just kidding. You don't stab yourself. You learn to avoid the needle. So quickly go in and out like that. Beautiful. And keep going. Gotta keep myself in the frame here. Keep going. All right. Looking good. Just keep going around until you get all the way to the end. Okay, I accidentally fast forwarded through me teaching you how to make a knot. So pretend we're just finishing our sewing here. This is gonna work great. Okay, we'll just pretend this is a garment. All right, so pretending you want to end your stitching here, you're going to take a little stitch. It would be a very tiny stitch if you were sewing a seam. And you pull the needle with one hand while you hold the thread. You pull it till it makes a little loop. You put the needle through the loop, switch hands. Now my needle's in my other hand, holding on to your thread, and you pull the thread to close the first loop. Now pull the needle, still holding on to your thread. I made this too long for our illustration, but there's your loop. I'm pulling it till the loop is smaller. Put the needle in, switch hands. Pull on your thread to close the first loop. And you can do it 3 or 4 times. I'm going to do it one more time. Needle through the loop. Close the loop pulling on the thread, and then pull the needle, and there is your nice little knot. By a long shot. Anyways, now you're just going to very gently, being careful not to cut your thread, cut your fabric down to make the tassels. So fun. All right, so that's going to take a little while. I'm going to try time lapse again. I would not normally let anybody see me in this particular fashion, but oh well, I love you. Here goes. I'm going to try on the hat. All right, I got my nice little cuff. I think I would have made it a little bit bigger. This will fit me a little different without the buns, but there is the tassel hat. Certainly cut those shorter, longer. Do what you want. Okay, send me pictures of your hat, please. Or something you want to tie a knot. Oh my God, I've got the thread caught in the pin cushion. I have no idea what I just videoed because I'm not a videographer.